So, that hurt like hell. I carried my bike from that reservoir, and I hope I'm aiming this right, all the way up here. Made a little pilgrimage because I haven't been here in a long time, like 6 months. Because it's right here that I know I fucked up bad. It was a rainy day, hanging out with somebody special. Essentially made a bouquet of those flowers, exact flowers actually, right here. Just hoping for someone to get out of the state of mind that they were in. But I did some dumbass things, said some dumbass things, was a complete dumbass, and I know it. And I ended up walking home. Because boy, wasn't I can't help but notice how much my bike wants to fall today. Pumpernickel flowers in that spot right there. Essentially, right here is where everything started as far as me working on not being a piece of shit. Self-centered, egotistical, sociopathic, prideful, asshole. It started the mission. And I'm hoping by coming back to that spot and just making that same path home. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's lavender, except I'm colorblind. I can't see too many colors. All I can see are like blues and greens. But I did some incredibly stupid things. I was incredibly hurtful towards somebody. Oh, fuck it. Might as well. Sunglasses hide the fear in your eyes. That's the way I've always felt. I'm really conflicted. Because in my mind, it's like, God, I wish I just had a chance to take it all back. But if I took it back, I wouldn't have done all this. I wouldn't have grown as much as I have. I wouldn't have the job that I have. I wouldn't have the people around me that taught me to pull my head out of my ass and learn to listen and listen to learn. And just all this AA jargon that saved my fucking life. Because I don't know what my plan was when I was with Mandy. It's like this amazing person came out of fucking nowhere, dude. Just like the absolute love of my life. And I still can't stop sitting there and thinking, poor pitiful me. There's just a lot of things I don't get and I don't understand. And I know I'm not the smartest guy. I'm sure as fuck not, and I know it. When it comes down to it, it's like, I'm going to be very selective on my wording here because it might bite me in the ass. My burden to carry is that I did wrong. I said all the worst things. I was a piece of shit. I got to make up to one person lately, and that changed my whole world. And I thought for a second, I'm gonna have to make a pilgrimage back to this fucking place, to where it all started. I was soaked. I was tired. I knew that I had done wrong. I walked all the way home. I think it's like 7 miles that way. Started off, yeah, you're right, you showed them, and it's just like, oh my God, what have I done? And hindsight is always 2020, isn't it? You get to sit back and realize all the stupid ass things you did. And I have never stopped cursing my own fucking name because of it. And I remember just like this, almost getting hit by cars I couldn't see because it was a heavily misty day. And boy, was I soaked by the time I got home. And I deserved it. Like, people can have their opinions on, you know, what transpired, what happened. Well, you're listening to a Nick that painted an idealized version of himself, and no, that's not how it happened. I said incredibly hurtful things. I did incredibly hurtful things. My actions of just thinking poor, pitiful me. But it comes down to the fact someone was trying to support me, and all I did was sit there and, you know, bitch, moan, cry, whine, talk about how the world wasn't fair, but what was I doing to make it fair? So these are the things that are on my mind. Like, I hated and lamented the fact of what I said. And I saw her all the time. She lives a mile away from my house, so there's a lot of times where it's like, dude, just stop her and apologize. And one day I could tell, I was walking through downtown, and I could see the look on her face. It's just like, for one, she instantly turned her head, but she's driving. So I watched her almost crash into a curb. But that would have been my fault too. And it's just like, you know, you might get a shot to apologize, but that's just it. You can apologize, but do you understand the full gravity of what you're apologizing for? And that's why I started going to Al-Anon. That's why I started going to AA. That's why I started going to all kinds of different group therapies and things like that. Al-Anon was for the sheer fact that it comes from the position of the person watching the alcoholic or the drug addict or what have you, and them watching all the wreckage that you're creating and feeling so helpless. And it's just like, when you're an addict, when you're an alcoholic, you sit there and think that I'm not hurting anyone else. It's like, yes, you are. You just don't know it because you're fucking right in your own little world, aren't you? Isn't it great? Like, I started thinking about the damage that I was causing and everything, and these people just staring, they have no idea how to handle me, but they love me anyways. And it's like, some of those people are still around, and I love them. Thank God they're there. But another thing that I found in AA, because all the coincidences they don't say happen, but do. I once asked God to, it's like, hey man, and it's 3:33, isn't that funny? I always have my epiphanies on weird ass angel numbers, I found out that they were called. And yes, I'm batshit crazy. Anyways. Who the fuck was... Oh, all the coincidences. And trust me, there was a lot. A lot, because, like, I don't pray a lot. Never have. I was always on this batshit crazy mission to, you know, explain I don't believe in God, but sure as hell curse his name. But when I really needed his help, and I was beat down. I had nothing left. This is as close to rock bottom as I care to get without going too far. I'm like, God, I'm not your smartest kid. Sure as shit not. And it's like, can you just... Because you know I don't pay attention, like, to details like some of your better kids do. And it's just like, can you just paint a fucking beeline of where I'm supposed to go and what I'm supposed to do? And what happened was, it started essentially with me getting a job. But the way I got that job was absolutely insane. Like, to the point where 3 or 4 people witnessed it. They witnessed it like crazy. It started with, let's see. I'm in AA one day. I'm learning to listen. learning about the damage I'm causing, and learning how to start fixing it. Now, I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about what I've done. And it starts off a couple weeks in, and it's just like I am hurting, I am struggling, I am broke, I have nothing to my name, I'm not even eating because there's no more food. And I realize how helpless I was on that. It's like I was living off of food at 7-Eleven and didn't even know it. That and the meals this amazing person was making me. And I had the nerve to turn a lot of that down because I was right. I knew what I was doing. But getting back to the coincidence, I know that my sobriety started 2 years ago, somewhere around November. So it's now November 1st. That is my sobriety date. And I could tell by the pictures on my phone because I remember those times and I remember when I started getting sober. So November 1st is it. And for whatever reason, in one of the AA classes, we're talking about sobriety dates. And I say mine. And one of the jobs in group is that you got to pass around, well, you got to collect donations. And Rodney, God bless him, made me get up and start collecting money. And I'm still not out of my shell yet. Still not. I am now. But I'm like, okay. And I'm just nerve-wracked. I'm going around collecting cash. And there's this one guy. Totally reminds me of Baloo the bear from the Jungle Book. And we eventually hang out, and it's like Baloo and Mowgli. It was hilarious. But I didn't know him. And I'm collecting money and cash, and comes to him. He gives me a 20. He's like, oh, can you come back with $15 when you got it? And I'm just like, asshole. It's like, do I look like I fucking barter with people? And I didn't say that. I thought it very loudly. And I'm like, ugh. So eventually, as I walk around the class, yes, I get $15, and I come back to him, give him his $15, and I thought, like, what a fucking, ugh. And we end up sharing our sobriety dates. At the end of the class, guess who comes to talk to me? He's like, oh, I heard your share, and I really like that sobriety date. He's like, same as mine. It's like, you got a job, or do you do anything? And looking at disheveled me, didn't have clothes like I have right now. Looking at disheveled me, he's like, are you doing anything? I'm like, no. It's like, all right, I'm gonna give you a call and we'll go make some money. Didn't think that he was gonna call me the next day, and we made money. Turns out he does like deliveries for like outpatient whatevers and small offices, and he brings in things like pencils and pens and candy, lots of candy, jerky. So we get to talking while we're in this van going to San Dimas. And he starts asking me what I used to do before. And I told him I was at 7-Eleven, then I quit because blah, 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 blah. I was right. And you could see him thinking about it, but he's not judging. His name's Pat, by the way. An amazing man. And I asked him what did he used to do before all these deliveries. He's like, oh, I always did this. But I used to have a shop off of Mountain and Brooks. There's a little place on like Mountain and Brooks. My dad's had a shop right there for 20 years. Over 20 years. And he's like, was it a place like right next to a storage facility? A little parking lot? I'm like, yeah. He's like, does your dad have a goatee and deal with things like motorcycles and hot rods and shit? And I'm like, yeah. We both kind of give each other this look like, that's wild. And this is before I really started believing in God. And he's like, and you still don't see the magic here? I'm like, huh. And we hang out the whole day, just kind of tripped out by what just happened here, because I remember when I was a little kid, now, as he said that, there being this big bear of a man being drunk, selling cabinets and stuff right next to my dad's shop. What are the fucking odds? And as the rest of the day goes on, I believe it was the second time we hang out, he's like, hey Nick, what you used to do before you were at 7-Eleven? I was like, I was a welder. And he's like, huh, I know a woman whose husband runs a men's stag who's a welder and has a shop like that. We should go see him. I'm like, okay. Me thinking it's going to be like maybe like next week or something. No, we're going right now. And we pull up to the shop. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but Rancho looks just like there's parts of Rancho, I should say, that looks like it's just a wash of warehouses off of like Haven and stuff. So they all look the same. And we show up to this one building. I'm like, this is crazy. He's like, what? It's like, I think I used to work around here when I was just like a troubled youth, and my dad didn't want me to cause damage like when I was a teenager. And we worked with one of his buddies. And he's walking up to the front door trying to open it. He's like, what was the company name called? I was like, American Made. He's like, says American Made right there. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? And so we go around to the side entrance. There's a big ass 20-foot garage door, and we walk in, and it's just like, it's smacking me in the face. It's like, I remember being here. And we walk up, and he said, like, oh, we're going to go see Savannah. That's the man's wife. And we walk up, he shakes her hand, or we see her, he shakes her hand. And he's like, hey, Savannah. She's like, my name's Jody. Oh, hey, Jody, and I forgot your last name. And I chime in saying, like, could it be Cavallo? And she looks over, kind of has this look on her face, like, yeah, that was a good guess. How'd you know? I was like, just call it an inspired guess. And she's like, oh, my husband will be here in like a minute. You guys should take a seat. And my boss is so damn prompt that it was exactly 1 minute when he showed up. And you just see this man walking up, just lost in thought. You could tell. I could still tell to this day. And he looks up, he sees me, and just kind of has this bewildered look on his face. And Pat's just in his own world talking to his wife. And he's like, oh, let me introduce you to... And he's looking at the both of us staring at each other, just kind of grinning. He's like, do you guys know each other? And Paul chimes in, who was the man that we're going to go visit. He's like, yeah, I remember the day he was born. I now work for a man that was my dad's best friend growing up. I haven't seen him since I was like 12. Like, I don't know if anyone cares to understand the gravity of that, but it shocked everyone in the room. And I'm still kind of bewildered by it to this day. My boss and my dad have the same birthday, and I'm sad to say that my dad is one of the reasons why I drank so much and why I became approval-seeking, being nice to strangers except treating people I love like shit. I understand it now. But everyone's just kind of in shock, and so here I've been for the past few months working for this guy that's 17 years sober. Him and my dad had a falling out because these kinds of things got in between them. But what it is, like, I'm still trying to figure this out. What it is now is, it's like things are coming full circle. Like, I'm not trying to get the approval, but I'm trying to come to peace, I guess is the best word to say, with my childhood. I used to absolutely hate metalwork because I was surrounded by drunks, alcoholics, people who hated their families, people getting divorces, people that just felt little. Okay? I felt little, and that's why I was up here and everybody else was down here. Not a good thing. You will always be miserable if that's your way of thinking. And it's nuts, man, because he's painting a picture that's my boss, it says, is painting a picture that's very healing to me to understand, like, the mindset of my father. And I know he doesn't understand the damage that he's done to me, but cry me a fucking river, because I didn't understand the damage I did to others. And all of a sudden I was smacked in the fucking face with it. And be careful what you pray for, because you might get it. There have been moments where I just break down. Just out of pure remorse, regret. It helps. Because I sat there with it all bottled in, but you may keep it inside, but it shows its face in crazy ways. And unfortunately, to the people you love the most. And you don't know what you have until it's gone. So I made this pilgrimage. In fact, I've been walking it this whole time. I'm already to the top of Euclid. I hurt someone incredibly important to me. Someone just amazing. Like, I've never considered marrying anyone before. And she'd always say, like, I don't give a fuck if it's a ring pop. And she would always question whether I was going to do it or not. And I'm like, you know, if I ever give you a ring, it's just going to say, I told you, bitch, on the inside. I fucked up. Like, I'm understanding the full weight of the things I did to people. And I think just yesterday, I got to sit there and explain my case, that this is what I'm working on, because their mom, my kid's mom, for whatever reason, started opening up. And it took everything I had to contain, like, how happy that was making me. And she finally gave me a chance to make it up to the kids, make it up to her. I'm not fully forgiven, but she knows that I'm exposing myself to all the damage that I've caused. I actually have an understanding of it. I'm practicing it. And at first, when I first told her that I was going to AA, she told me, fuck anyone that believes any of the shit that you said. And yesterday, she gave me a chance. And we just got to laugh and talk openly about the kids and talk about what life is like now. And she flat out said, oh, you're never getting another chance, but that doesn't mean... In her own way, it's like, that doesn't mean that we can't, talk to each other and be human beings. And I've never been so happy to be let go of. I'm on a mission to fix everything. All of my legal issues, all of the things I love this bike, but I gotta get off this fucking bike and start, being a man, adulting, doing the things that I need to do. But I just sit and kind of dream of making it up to that one that got away. Because I didn't deserve anyone like that. And even if, in my happy-go-lucky world, we end up together, live happily ever after, possibly have another kid, all these things. And don't get me wrong, I don't sit there and like stalk her. That's creepy. I just dream of being able to make things right, or at least, apologize. And that's why I made the pilgrimage. Because I've been kind of getting like weird, I don't know, things have been popping up saying like it's almost time. And judging from, the things that happened that led up to this point, as far as like the small coincidences of coming full circle with my past, making peace with that, meeting people that didn't even know they had a connection in my dad. And I'm just trying to make things right. If not, I fucking tried. I tried my ass off. And my arm's still kind of numb from carrying this bike, so I think I'm gonna get something to go to a mart. Last time I was here, I was with that same girl, to be honest, and her grandma. That woman was incredibly sweet. So was the granddaughter. Mandy, I am truly sorry.